All right, so today we're going to try to do localization. And localization means that we're going to make files for all of the hard-coded strings that we have in all of our source code. So that depending on the operating system, well, depending on the language settings that the phone is set to, it'll bring up that particular language file, and we don't have to do anything to the rest of our site except to, the rest of our app, except to translate those string files. They're going to be little string files, a lot like the Android side. So the first thing we have to do is, if we click on our BMI calc, the main project up here in the File Explorer, and then click also here in there's a little pull-down menu. We want to go all the way up to the project, and we want to make this use base internationalization. We want to check that. Let me start over. We want to check it. All right, so back to here. So normally they change whether this is on or off. I'm still not seeing these files.
So the box is already checked, don't touch it.
Yeah. Huh.
Can you right click on it and say add this as a resource on your project? Sorry.
No. Just say finish.
Yeah, I'm not gonna click that button. Mine's already checked.
Yours was checked.
Yeah, so was mine.
And it should have had the storyboard in there. Well, you didn't uncheck it, so.
Yeah, if you uncheck it, it says, do you want to move the base internalization file over to the trash?
Yeah. So.
That sounded bad.
So there's I can never find this menu. So we can add localizations. We can add different files, different languages that we want. So let's add a localization for Spanish ES. Huh. What the heck?
You can also click the little plus sign right above the checkbox you were messing around with. It won't help find your storyboard and stuff like that, but it does give you the localizations there.
Doesn't have somehow I don't know where it is. That's a good thing we have Git, right? All right, so I had to revert my project because I screwed it badly when I did this. Move files to trash. So if it's checked, we want to add a new localization. You can use the plus sign, or it's under the editor, add localization, Spanish. And then it comes up with the storyboards that you want to add localized strings to. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so now on the left, you can see in our two storyboards, it puts the main storyboard, which is our base file, and then a main strings, which is the Spanish version of this. So it creates this text file with all of our different labels that we had in there. And this is the file that you would send off to a translator to translate. Does that make sense so far? So we have two of those. We have one for the launch screen and one for the main storyboard, which had 3 different views in it so far, 3 different complete views. So when would the best time be to do the localization?
Right at the end.
At the end, because you've got all your files done. You don't have to, because it does all this creation of this file for you automatically. So the next thing we need to do is to change all of our hard-coded places to use a string instead. I mean, what do we call it? A method to get this. So let's just go with this for now, and see if we can translate the. Wait, let's translate some of these things in using Google. Where's my browser? It's over here. So if we go to Google Translate, we can put in our starting language is English, and our ending language is going to be Spanish. And we can put like weight. And so peso is the translation for that. Now, obviously, you're going to get somebody that natively speaks the language to translate this stuff, because it depends on context. But this is just a quick way to show that we can do something. Label is going to be etiqueta. These strings don't matter. These translate, although they might not. A hard-coded floating number in some languages, they use a comma instead, I think. So here's world. Mundo. I knew that one. El mundo. America. And it's got this America. It's got a accent. And save weight entry. See what that comes up to be. Guardar entrada peso. And log this data. Now these are the button titles, right? log this data, registrar estos datos. View chart. Ver gráfico. So let's do BMI calculator. That probably won't. Calculator or something. Calculator is probably what it is. Calculadora. All right, so let's run this and see if we can, oops. We'll have to change the settings on our phone simulator and see if we can change that here. Language and so it's under settings for those that don't have a phone. Let's see, command. So on the hardware, if you hit the home button here, it quits your app and it comes back, and this has screens that you can slide back and forth, and they're pages of applications. So if you slide back to the left, you want to find the settings. So you can double click on the settings, click on general, click on language and region, and right now it's set to English. So we want to change that to Español and say done. Change to Spanish. All right, and so it changed everything here. So we now need to go back to the home, back to our app, and launch it again. And look at that. Isn't that sweet? Registrar estos datos. Mundo America. So I missed a few. I didn't do them all. BMI calculadora. Isn't that cool? BMI, peso, date and time. Guardar entrada peso. See how that's pretty simple, right? Any questions on that? So let's do another language just to show that we can. Let's add a new, so we go up to the main project, click on the plus, let's add Japanese. How about that? That's kind of different. And we'll use the same resource files. And now we have Japanese. And what these files are is this is a key, a unique key that points to this string. And so the storyboard knows where this key lays, and it comes to this file and loads this string in when it lays out that view. So this is like a hash, a key value pair. And you can see some of the things, like this is a segmented tile, a segmented control. So segment 0 is world, segment 1 is America. And what you can do in here is add context comments, like for the translator. You might add some, this is a segmented control to switch between weight styles or something like that. And then this is the file, this is the only file you'd have to send to the translator, is this whole guy here. So let's do a couple of, let's do world in Japanese. So we want to go from English to Japanese. So here's the sekai. Copy that. America. America. And let's just do those two. We'll just do the segmented controls, because this is hard to get out of Japanese. All right, so let's run it again, recompile it, go back to home. Remember, we left it in a Spanish state, so we'll go back to home, switch over to system. Luckily, the icons are familiar, because when this switches to Spanish, we won't know what to run. Idioma del iPhone, we want to go to Japonés. Say OK. ¿Quieres cambiar el idioma del iPhone a japonés? Sí, cambiar al japonés. So now we're in Japanese. And we need to go back to home, go to our calculator, and look at that. Isn't that cool? So you can greatly expand your market fairly simply. And there are online translators. This is one that I found called Babylon. They will translate things for you, and you send them their files, and they'll do it for a couple $100 per language, which isn't bad for if you're making money on an app. That makes sense to do that. All right, any questions on that?
I'm trying to figure out how to add languages.
Oh, still can't do it?
I don't have any other languages.
Did you have a question, Sergey?
No.
What should we do? What do you speak? Russian? Ukrainian? What? Russian?
If you can get back to English from Japanese.
Yeah, I know, that's the problem. So you have to go home again. Home. Wow. Home. It's the top one, the top one, the top one, and then
That's accessibility.
general.
It's funny it doesn't translate that.
I know.
Very accessible in Japanese.
I think this was the top one.
That's just general information.
Let's see if I can figure it out here. See, this is not a full simulator. There we go. So it's this 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. Or I wonder if you can. I can't copy that. Can I? No. So now we want to switch it to English again. And we say
On the right, it's done, I think.
this one.
Top right.
Done. Yaka, iPhone, yes please. There we go. So now we're back to English. Isn't that fun? So we could do Russian. And we look at our main strings in Russian. And we'll do world in Russian. America, let's do that one versus Russian. America. Same. Just different alphabet. You broke it? You can reset it, I think, completely. You can reboot it. Let's see. Reset content and settings under the simulator. Reset content and settings. That'll wipe out everything. Let's do world. Is Mir, right? Mir?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I got it right. I used to be able to read Russian alphabet anyway, not a lot of words, but back in the 80s when I was doing aerospace, we were starting to collaborate with the Russian space agencies to build a common docking system. So they started teaching us Russian in Rockwell. It was kind of fun. I never got to go to Russia, so it's too bad. All right, so we have to do the same thing. Go home, settings, accessibility. That was an accessibility. Language. Russian. I don't have Russian on here. Really? What the heck? I don't know why. Makes it a little hard to test that. Anyway, I think you get the point. Any questions on doing that?
So this will have like the icon label too?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
If you had an image that you used that had English words in it, you'd have to create a new image with the other languages' words, whatever that would be. All right. So that's about it for that.
What's the assignment relating to localization?
To convert all of your words into Spanish.
Okay.
Using
To
Google,
Spanish.
using Google Translate's good enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I wonder, other questions?